Okay, yeah, let's bring me up at the wall if we could. Okay, let's do, you got me on weather one. Let's see here. We're going to broaden it on out. Just came in, and it has to do with that one individual cell that Zach Malak was talking about. Let's do the stats here. This is going to be a tornado warning for Collier County, about 24,000 people impacted until about 7:45 a.m. Okay, so to reiterate, for Collier County, and especially where you see this red polygon, a tornado warning is in effect. And what we're going to do on the back, we're going to cover this until the threat has been diminished. Okay, so tornado warning is in effect. The main suspect area, and this is pushing, let's see, the general motion, it's pushing to the north at 40 miles an hour. Okay, so oftentimes what you will find with these tornadic cells is that they're very quick. So they could be on the ground for seconds, if not minutes, but they certainly can do some damage. So again, 40 miles an hour is the general motion. I'm going to put that into our system right here. That way we can get to some specifics. All right, let's switch back over to the velocity signature. And the trouble area is going to be right around Twin Eagles and Heritage Bay. Okay, so let me push this out of the way here. So the main suspect area where rotation has been indicated is around the Twin Eagles and Heritage Bay community. And what we're looking at here, where you see this difference in colors, that's wind heading towards and away from the radar, and where you have this conflict, that is where the air is spinning. We have rotation, and at this point we can't confirm that there's a touchdown, but because of the possibility, that's why a tornado warning has been issued. I'm going to double up and take a look at Miami's radar. Let me stop the loop. And yeah, it's this little pulse here. That's likely what they're looking at. I know it doesn't look like much at home, but right about here, across over the, it looks like a Mockley Road, and believe it or not, those 2 pixels was enough to trigger that tornado warning all the way with the National Weather Service in Miami. Now, as we switch over to Wink Live Doppler 3X, kind of a higher resolution look, in my opinion, the trouble area is going to be, sure enough, let's really go tight here. I'm going to zoom in as much as I can. And this is going to be Twin Eagles, Heritage Bay, and then if the rotation holds together, it's going to be continuing to work its way towards Bonita National. Okay, so let me time that out for you down the road. I have it already in the system at about 40 miles an hour. Okay, so sure enough, Bonita National at about 7:26, and then the Bella Terra community at about 7:38. So here's what we're going to do. You want to get to the lowest level of your home, get away from windows, because if we have a tornado on the ground, could have flying projectiles through the sky and through the air, whether that be tree branches or pieces of people's homes. We don't know that yet. We don't even know if there's a touchdown. But what we want to do is at least take those necessary precautions. And another way that we can at least analyze the possibility that is there a tornado on the ground is we use a feature called, and I know it can sometimes sound confusing, it's called correlation coefficient. And what this does is it differentiates rain with debris. Now, Zach Malak, I know you're looking at this too, buddy. As far as the correlation coefficient, I'm not seeing anything too evident of a tornado touchdown, but it's certainly possible at any point. Right, Zach?
And it looks like we're watching this because you just mentioned near Twin Eagles, South Bonita National. I changed the radar view just a little bit, still watching Wink Doppler 3X, but we have a number of different settings that we could utilize in terms of our velocity product. We could see the storm motion, we could see the storm itself, and currently you're seeing this lighter pink as well as this darker red. That's what we're currently seeing, that rotation as Matt mentioned. And actually we just got that latest update as well. You see it's definitely weaker. So Matt, that definitely coincides with not really seeing too much in terms of a debris signature whatsoever, because we barely even have a velocity signature, barely even have a tornado rotation signature currently, but we are currently seeing very gusty winds in that area. In fact, if I switch this back to where the rate is currently coming down, yeah, just south of Bonita National right now, that is where this cell is currently heading. So if you live down Bonita Beach Road, and know Bonita Beach Road comes to an end right there, this will continue moving off towards the north. And if this holds together as it passes off towards the north, I'm going to do a little track on this real quick because you can see who is going to be impacted across portions of southwest Florida as this continues lifting off towards the north. I'm definitely talking to my friends who live down Corkscrew Road, as well as for all those who live in maybe the Place, possibly even Verdana Village. This is a fast-moving cell, and we could see it here. In fact, if you live in the Place, possibly live near Verdana Village, you live near that new Publix that was built about a month, 2 months ago down Corkscrew Road, I expect this storm to be overhead of you all by 7:36 this morning. So it's 10 minutes from now. Even if we're not seeing this tornado signature as of yet, this warning will continue until 7:45. And we're watching this because as our communities and as our friends and homes continue to build east of 75, these become more problematic, especially as we look through not only severe weather, but also our wintertime storms and definitely during tropical storms. We've been mentioning that the last few days, that threat for tornadoes will be possible, especially as we get through today. And it's all thanks to the angle at which these storms are developing in relation to where the storm is itself. So again, we're watching this cell, currently seeing some very heavy wind currently present within that cell. In fact, if I go back to our velocity product and zoom back in one more time, we could sample Wind Doppler 3X and show you where and how high those winds are gusting. Currently seeing those winds right around, get the load there for a second. Yeah, 60 miles per hour. So anytime we have a severe thunderstorm warning that gets issued, it's all thanks to winds higher than 59 miles per hour. And again, that cell now moving out of Bonita National, going to be moving into the Corkscrew area really in the next 10 minutes or so. So again, friends in the Place, friends in Verdana Village, maybe even Bellaterra to the east. Many of you are going to be impacted by very high winds here. So Matt, we're watching this one closely. What are you seeing on your side? Are you seeing anything better in terms of definition, or it looks on the weak side currently as I'm tracking this myself?
You know, I think it's interesting how I think that the worst part of the storm is actually in now Lee County. They're not under a tornado warning. Collier County is under a tornado warning, and the worst part of the storm is not impacting them. So I don't want that to be misleading. I really think there could even be a tornado warning in southern and eastern Lee County. Big favor, if you are watching Wink and you live in the communities of, I'm going to list them off, La Mirada, Twin Eagles, what's the other one? It's going to take a while to load here. Heritage Bay, or even Bonita National, Valencia, Bonita. If you have any damage, anything that you're observing, please let us know here at Wink. You can take pictures when it's safe and when the storm passes by. So let's do another scan here. Again, worst part of the storm is here, not where we have the tornado warning. So if anything, they need to extend this into southeastern Lee County. But let's just do an analysis here of the rotation. And as we zoom on in, it has just passed by Bonita National. I'll put a marker right there where you see this conflict in color with lighter blue next to darker green. There is a bit of contrast, and that's where some rotation has been indicated. We don't know at this point if there's a tornado on the ground and how long it's been on the ground or anything like that, but those details will come in. Let me switch back over to Miami's radar. And yeah, Zach, I mean, it's pretty messy at this point, and if anything, I would say that the rotation has probably weakened a touch. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And in fact, we have so many cameras across here in southwest Florida. This is a live look down Corkscrew Road. This is near Verdana Village. The strongest cell we're watching is just south of this camera by about maybe 5 miles or so. It's now moving in between Bonita National as well as this area. Again, the Place, Verdana Village, the new Publix down there. They want to watch this camera through at least the next 10 minutes because this camera should see the worst of this cell arriving. Again, no rain currently coming down. So viewers who are not watching our coverage here on Wink, you're not currently in this tornado warning. As Matt mentioned, it's only for Collier County. So maybe the National Weather Service in Tampa is watching our coverage. Maybe they want to extend that warning if they see that velocity could pick back up again. But Matt, beyond the velocity itself, it seems like the rain is just very heavy. You saw reds and pinks on a Wink Doppler 3X, which is indicative of very heavy rain. And if that cell is moving at 50 miles per hour, Matt, that usually really allows us to say, hey, we could have winds gusting even without that tornado warning in excess of 60 miles per hour or so.
Absolutely, yeah, and he's got a point. I mean, at a minimum, you will see those gusty wind, and until the threat is completely gone and once they expire, the tornado warning, we want to be with you just in case. I mean, your safety is our top priority. So here's going to be that area. Let me point it out at home right there, and kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. That's where we have that rotation that's still being indicated on Wink Live Doppler 3X. What I'm going to do right now is actually take off the radar, and that area is actually largely rural. It's not a densely populated area of US 41, and now I can't promise that that's going to be the case as it pivots around Debby, because that eventually will go deeper and deeper into Lee County. And I did see, as we brought it on out, another area of rotation, and I'm going to stop this right here. You see that, Zach? In Lehigh Acres, there's another little pocket of rotation right here. Now, it's not incredibly tight, but that's kind of how it starts. It's one of these suspect areas, and what's very typical of tropical systems is that they put down a tornado and it lifts back up, sometimes for seconds, if not minutes. They're quick, so that's why we always got to be on alert just in case. But this area of broad rotation is basically State Road 82 and Gunnery. That is one of several areas of rotation, and we even had another one in Cape Coral. That was about 15 to 20 minutes ago. But I would not be surprised that they're going to let this tornado warning expire here momentarily. Yeah,
in fact, I think I just talked to Lauren Kreidler, one of our meteorologists here in the back, and she mentioned that they will be canceling that warning in Collier County. Now, whether if the National Weather Service in Tampa wants to take this warning and extend it into Lee County, that's wait to be seen. We're still watching those other cells here. I wanted to give the broad scale view picture right now, why we're going to be seeing more tornado warnings develop. Here's the reason why. We're currently seeing this central area of circulation with Tropical Storm Debby offshore. Anytime we get very perpendicular, parallel to this system, a perpendicular line to it, once we start to see these rain bands go from southwest to north to then northeast, this quadrant from north to northeast, this turn of the wind with the motion of the storm and the motion of the winds at the surface create just enough of a perfect angle, almost a 90-degree angle of the storm motion and the wind at the surface from the southwest, that it creates just enough of a turn that we could see more of these tornadoes develop. So areas that we could see some additional develop of these storms, and Matt could let us know too, as well as we watch this closely, is really from the center part of this storm, really from Naples off towards the north. As we continue through the next couple of hours, anyone in Lee County, anyone in Charlotte County, anyone in DeSoto County, really from this point forward, have that chance for these cells to rotate. So we're going to watch this closely through the morning hours. And Matt, you have one final thought too as we watch these showers and storms as well.
Yeah, that's right. So officially the tornado warning was canceled, but as you can see me here behind the scenes, I'm looking at other areas just in case for your safety, and Zach is as well. We're on these pockets of rotation like a hawk. And here's that other one. I am going to be watching kind of behind the scenes here, and this is right now close to Lehigh Senior High School as well as Sunshine Elementary. What are the colors? What's with the Christmas colors? The green is wind heading in one direction, the red is another. And when these colors become more defined and bright, close together, that's rotation, that's spin, and you have a greater likelihood for a funnel cloud or maybe even a tornado. So that is going to wrap up our tornado warning coverage for now. Let me toss it now back to Corey and Lindsay.
All right, Matt, thank you. And that's why it's so important to make sure you have either Wink on or the Wink News weather app downloaded, because it will send you alerts when something like this happens.
It's crucial. And right now we know Governor Ron DeSantis is speaking at a press conference in Tallahassee about Tropical Storm Debby.
And it looks like I have a new tornado warning. You saw me look over here momentarily. In the back, we have a new tornado warning for DeSoto County. So let's take a look at that one. And they just issued it. So we're going to be looking at this together. And let's zoom on in. And let's take a look at the troublemaker spot. It's going to be just west of Arcadia. And I tell you, that might have even been the one that we were looking at in Lehigh earlier. But here's the cell. And there it is, right there. There is the pocket of rotation. This is being picked up on Wink Live Doppler 3X. Let me point that out at home, where you see this difference in coloration, light pink and darker red. And look at that, new scan. It's a fast mover crossing over State Road 72. Let me do a little pocket of rotation here, right there. Let me take off the sweeping radar to see what we're dealing with in that area. And it's going to be largely rural, some farms, maybe some industry in this building right here. But this is, for reference, western DeSoto County under a tornado warning. And this is going to be in effect until about 9:15. So time now is 8:44. This cell is racing off to the northwest at 40 miles an hour. As we switch back over to radar, for some peace of mind, I tell you, if you're watching me in Arcadia, you guys avoid it. So you do not have to worry about this storm. However, for the northwestern corner of DeSoto County, they will be closely monitoring the cell. And I'm going to switch to another radar, and you can see it's very well defined. And let's do a storm cone on this as it works its way to the northwest at about 40 miles an hour. Okay, so that's going to make its way towards Pine Level Church, not what you obviously want to deal with here on this Sunday morning, all the way towards Edgeville, again, the northwestern corner of DeSoto County. Now, we also have a product. It's a technical name, but it's essentially what it does is it analyzes tornado debris in the atmosphere if we have it. We don't always do. So I'm going to switch over to that, see if we have anything suspect. Zach, you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do have it's tough to say if we actually have a tornado on the ground. That's a little suspect. Let me switch back over to, we'll see. I mean, we're going to investigate this after the warning is done.
In fact, Matt, put that back up there,
Yeah.
and then let's have our production guys in the back double box weather 1 and weather 2 if they can. And you could see from where Matt had that rotation,
And I'm going to
tornado tracker
it a bit.
And you can kind of see where that location is on weather 2 as well. It's moving. It's moving, like you said, behind you, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes when you see that. So what we would essentially be looking at here is the red is rain. When we have something that's not rain in the atmosphere, that could be a tornado that is on the ground and it's lofting debris. See how it looks different than the red, which is rain. And that tells Zach and I that, that could be something more.
No, that's what I was trying to get for. I know it took a while to get it up there. We asked for a pretty complex thing, but what Matt is showing on the left is our debris tracker, and it's moving. We just had that update. That image, that lower color that you see in the middle of that pink and that red, right where Matt is looking, is very similar to where that rotation is on the other side. Now, our imagery and our products come in at slightly different times, but it's co-located. It's in a very similar spot. And as Matt mentioned, you said it was a Pine Level Church where this is at, as well as Matt mentioned, there's not a ton of communities in the way of this, which is good. This is very small. It's usually smaller than what we get detected as. But there we go. There's another new update as well in terms of our side and our products where we could highlight that off. Let me get the rotation tracker back on and, throw it back on there one more time. Now, we're watching this closely just because we're seeing all of these tornadoes and weak tornadoes potentially pop up. This is the strongest signature, Matt, we've seen so far. It's when you have these reds and these greens very close together. The green, what that denotes is that wind is heading into the radar, coming in from the south-southwest. The red is wind moving away from the radar. We can detect the wind and the movement of the wind and the speed of the wind, all dependent on the rain droplets within the storm. It's what Wink Doppler 3X does. As it scans the sky, it's scanning the rain droplets, scanning horizontally and also vertically to determine which way they're traveling. And this looks like it's most likely a weak tornado that may be on the ground. We don't really have a clear confirmation of that as of yet. But we're watching this very closely just because, again, this is something we can see over, develop over and over again over the next couple of hours. Now, here's a sky cam in Arcadia. Again, Arcadia, you are not going to be impacted by this system. You're being in the drier part of this system right now. And in fact, if I get that to load and we could kind of see, let me see if I get that to pop up. Yeah.
Zach, you get that to load, and I would like to show, I agree with you. I would not be surprised if this is on the ground, considering the fact that you can see it as we do a time loop here. Okay, I'm gonna backtrack and watch right here from the bottom hand portion of your screen, right there. Okay, and then watch as we go into time. That is going to be pushing northwest, crossing over State Road 72. See how it still maintains itself? So this could have been on the ground for several minutes. And then what could also tell us something is that once we start to see this disperse and we go back to just red, that might mean that the tornado has lifted. The potential tornado, we'll have to see how things go. Zach, it looks like you got the camera up, right?
Yeah, I did want to just prioritize Arcadia. We have so many individuals here in Southwest Florida who live in Arcadia, and you may be hearing some of those warnings in the distance. Here's a current look from the DeSoto County Skycam. Very windy. Arcadia, look at those clouds. Look how fast they're racing here from our Skycam, looking live with our Wink Live camera network, and we have a number of crews getting ready. It's obviously a staging area for all of our linemen who may be helping restore power with this system as it moves in. But in Arcadia itself, it is dry. The strongest part of the storm is west of this camera vantage point. If I recall, I think this camera points off to the northeast, and you can see these clouds racing off towards the west. You can see this flag here as well. If you could zoom in on that, you could see that we're seeing the winds building towards this area of rotation. And it's something that we always just keep an eye on because of where this storm is currently at. Now let's get down to the latest again one more time. The system has lifted off towards the west-northwest. We're currently seeing that rotation now just north of Pine Level Street, heading right along Lilly Avenue and right along and north of State Road 70. So this will continue traveling off towards the northwest, moving away from Arcadia, moving northwest of Arcadia. Matt, how does the velocity signature look right now? Do you still see that we are getting more of that rotation that we've been tracking? Is it still pretty strong? That looks pretty strong still behind you.
It's still pretty solid. Yeah, it's still pretty solid. And, we always like to kind of tell you when you're in the clear, when you're not. Arcadia, as Zach had mentioned, you're good to go. You do not have to worry about this. The trouble area is basically going to be northwest Pine Level Street, and I would say right now it's crossing over State Road 70 in the northwestern corner of DeSoto County. Let's take off the sweeping radar. Granted, largely rural, but we got some communities there. We got some farms, and we have some Wink viewers there that we have to certainly. We need to keep them prepared, and you can see the well-defined rotation right here as it is traveling to the northwest at 40 miles an hour. Now, eventually, this is going to be working its way into Hardy County, even Manatee County. Let's do a quick loop. Oh, you got the timing. I tell you what, let's punch up Zach's computer, and he does have some of the timing. Zach, you want to mention that?
Yeah, in fact, so we're right near Pine Level right now. The rotation currently on the bottom of that screen there, it's lifting off towards the west-northwest. So Lilly Church, thankfully, going to be on the eastern side of this. Rotation very small, and that will track almost right in the middle of that cone. We always draw the cone a little bit larger compared to where the rotation could be tracking. It looks like this is going to be building off towards just the west-northwest. Still, though, if you're watching and you have the Wink Weather app on your phone, the Wink News app, and you're watching our coverage, and say you did make it in the church this morning and you're watching, just know you do want to get interior doors, get inside, an interior closet in the church or in your home. If you live in this area, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible, as we are seeing some strong rotation with this system. But then as we get back off to the farther north, not too many areas in the way, just between Lilly Church and off towards the northwest, Myakka Head Park, really the only area that's in between State Road 70 and State Road 64. So still watching this closely, Matt, as you've been watching, and the rotation still looks pretty intense, though, at this hour as well. I think that's the most intense circulation we've seen so far.
Yes. And it's been pretty tight, and for, some peace of mind here, not just in northwestern DeSoto County, do we have any other areas that could potentially be some troublemakers with areas of rotation? Let's take a look elsewhere. As you can see right here, a little bit of contrast in Sarasota County into Charlotte County, maybe a little pocket right there, but it starts small, and then sometimes these can evolve. So we're going to be watching, Zach and I, as well as Lauren behind the scenes here. We're all three going to be looking at any potential areas of rotation. Nothing too alarming into Lee County, even into Collier County, a bit of a messy display, but I'm not seeing anything that is very suspect. Just the one area is in northwestern DeSoto County, as that is right now, I would say in the next 10 minutes, eventually going to be working its way out of the wink viewing area. It's a fast mover at about 40 miles an hour. And Zach, you want to do one brand new storm cone, and while you do that, I'm going to coordinate with the National Weather Service.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, let me throw this on here real quick. I was also doing a little radar analysis while Matt was talking, trying to decipher if there's anything else we had to worry about in that region. Let's go back to Wink Doppler 3X. Let's zoom in there as well. And things are definitely looking, a lot weaker in terms of, what we're currently seeing in that region. In fact, let's zoom back in one more time. Yeah, so we're still watching this rotation currently right along Lilly Avenue. We'll put a track on it one more time. This system is building off towards the west-northwest at about 35 to 45 miles per hour. Something we've been tracking through the morning are these fast-moving cells. Let's just do the next 15 minutes because, usually these things don't last as long. And again, not too much currently in the way. We're now seeing this on the western side, not really impacting Lilly Church anymore, not impacting any exact communities. But if you live in DeSoto County, west of Lilly Avenue, north of State Road 70, you want to make sure that you are prepared, as if we don't see anything on the ground anymore, there is circulation. You're definitely going to see some very gusty winds. In fact, let's clear this off real quick, and I could show you how high Wink Doppler 3X is, estimating the strongest winds. Now, when it comes to rotation, we actually take two sampling and two measurements. One's a positive value, one's a negative value. I'm going to move them different ways. Let's get one more of that negative value or positive value, just to see if there's a little bit of that stronger area of wind currently near that center of circulation. And how this works is when we it's only 6 miles per hour leading in, but 43 on the opposite side. So when we do this arithmetic to try and determine the actual wind within a rotation, you always take one value, add it to the other, getting about winds around 49 to 50 miles per hour within this cell alone. Again, the negative value is wind that's heading into the radar site, heading from the southwest to the northeast. The 6 mile per hour, the red they're moving at, and the rate of rotation at which they're heading at as well. Matt, any update from the National Weather Service office out of Tampa? Tampa does control DeSoto County here in Southwest Florida. What are you seeing from them?
Yeah, nothing from DeSoto County, but I'll tell you what, Zach, I think we're at the point, though, we're going to call it because it's about to move out of DeSoto County as well as the Wink viewing area. So I would say within the next minute or two, DeSoto County, you will be in the clear, okay, within the next minute or two. And then we're going to go back to kind of our regular programming here. But we'll do one more final loop of not only just DeSoto County, but let's just do a scan of the rest of Southwest Florida. And you can see these bands just one after another. I'll put a loop on it. And they are fast movers coming in from the southeast, blowing northwest upwards of 40 to 50 miles an hour. That's just the movement. We've seen gusts even higher than that. And then as we take you into Lee County, there's a look at these bands, one after another, these squalls. And also with that stronger south wind, that's also eventually going to be forcing up the tides. And what I'd like to do is I put this together before the tornado warning in DeSoto County. I want to give you an update on our current water levels. And then after that, I'm going to toss it to Corey and Lindsay. These are the current water levels, and we are at just shy of a foot for Fort Myers and Naples. And the current surge, what are we at? We're at 1.3 in Fort Myers and rising. In Naples, we're at 2 feet and rising. So those are the current surge levels, but you also may notice that in Fort Myers, next low tide, what time is it? About 9 a.m., we're actually approaching low tide and the water levels are going up. And that's because of the Debby influence. And then we have our next high tide in Naples. That will be around the lunchtime hours. So Naples, your main event in terms of the surge will be as we hit noon to 1 o'clock. And as we continue to get to the very latest with Tropical Storm Debby. Guys?
Thank goodness we're seeing those higher levels as we're at low tide, because that's going to benefit us. And this is why it's so important to stick with Wink or have that Wink News app, because the moment there's any kind of potential threat, Matt and Zach are on it, and they're going to stay with us and make sure they're just walking you through anything you need to know that's pertinent to your safety.
And we've seen this stuff can pop up very quickly when these bands run through. So it's great to have the Wink News weather app. We're going to go to break right now. If you want to follow along with us, switch over to the CW. More live coverage there next at 9 o'clock on Tropical Storm Debby.
Actually have two. Both were issued simultaneously. And Zach, I tell you what, I'll take DeSoto, you take Collier. That sound good? So we'll start, let's first start in DeSoto County. That one had the tighter rotation, so I would like to zoom into that one. So here is a look at some of the specifics, and this is the one I had noted at the top of the hour, and sure enough, it did tighten up. Okay, so these are going to be the specifics. It is going to be about 7,000 people under the tornado warning, and that does include Arcadia. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to get to the center part of your home away from windows, as there could be flying debris from a potential tornado on the ground. Let's take a look at a couple features here. This is a bit messy, so let's, I'll tell you what, Zach, that has really tightened up. That is probably the strongest signature I have seen so far this morning. Okay, so this one in DeSoto County, this is going to be approaching, and look at that, the bright green next to bright red, and that is approaching 760A, about to approach US 17. Let's take a look now at what's called the correlation coefficient. A bit messy, and Zach, when you're ready, we'll also, I don't want to forget about Collier. Let me switch over real quick to Tampa radar. So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking to see if debris is being lofted into the air. I can tell that because red is rain. If we had something that's not rain in the air, it would come up as a blue, green, or even some yellow. So that would tell Zach and I and Lauren behind the scenes that we have a tornado on the ground. It's lofting debris. So we're going to be watching that like a hawk. Let's switch back over to Wink Live Doppler 3X. And there it is. And this is going to be working its way. Let me do a quick cone. And again, if you're just tuning in and just joining us, we have two tornado warnings that were issued simultaneously. This one, if the track does not change, is going to be avoiding the heart of Arcadia. It looks like in this general direction, and let me do a storm cone real quick. And I believe these are both at 40 miles an hour, Zach. I believe they are. Yeah, we're gonna double check
the answer for you in 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, that one is moving. Yeah, the one in DeSoto. Hold on.
Okay, and then I'll tell you what. While I figure that out, Zach, you take. Do you want to take over now the one in Collier?
Yeah, I'll look at the one. So, Matt, that one is moving northwest at 35 miles per hour. That tornado warning in DeSoto County. The tornado warning in Collier County is also moving at 35 miles per hour. It's always good to get Wink weather alerts straight to your phone, as well as I'm doing as these tornado warnings are currently coming in. Of course, we watch every county here in Southwest Florida. That one is moving at 40 miles per hour currently in Collier County. Now, not as strong. So as Matt was watching, his velocity signature extremely strong. You saw the reds, the greens coming together. That is indicative of rotation. Potentially tornado currently on the ground in Collier, in DeSoto County, heading towards Arcadia. But in terms of Collier County, not in Naples, Golden Gate Estates off towards the south. Currently seeing this right passing over I-75 and even passing over portions of Alligator Alley. So not impacting too much as of yet. But if this cell holds together as it passes off towards the northwest, northwest, it could be impacting portions of Collier County. So let's put a track on this real quick. Again, I do have to update how fast the cell is moving. It's always something we do here to make sure we keep an updated look at where this is heading next. I do have the correct speed in that system. Again, as it moves off towards the west-northwest, let's track this, put it over the next half an hour. I will have to zoom out a little bit so we could try and see. Again, an area that was under a tornado warning earlier is now under this new tornado warning. This tornado warning is currently really heading towards the northwest, impacting the eastern side of Golden Gate Estates, right down Golden Gate Boulevard, as well as not Golden Gate Parkway, that is separate. Golden Gate Boulevard in Golden Gate, you will be impacted on the eastern side of Golden Gate in the Estates. Twin Eagles, you're on the western side of this tornado warning, but again, you had a tornado warning earlier on this morning, about an hour and a half to 2 hours ago. You should know the drill. Get into your interior portions of your home, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Estates Elementary, if you live near Estates Elementary in the northern side of Golden Gate Estates, that's going to be in the direct path of this circulation currently heading over Alligator Alley. Also, if you're watching at Benita National just to the north of Twin Eagles, this area of circulation heading towards you closer to 1050 this morning. Again, this is not as defined as the one that is in DeSoto County. I'm not too concerned that there is something on the ground with this one, which is good news. I'll continue to track this one closely as it builds off to the northwest. Before I hand it back to you, Matt, I do want to go back to our camera that we have in DeSoto County in Arcadia, just because we're watching this cell closely. Again, not seeing anything per se from the DeSoto County Emergency Operations Center. You see it as a staging area for many of the linemen that are currently getting ready to help restore power if any goes out from this system. I'm going to look and see which way this camera faces. You can see the winds and the clouds quickly moving, and they're moving off to the northeast. So this camera has to be facing to the northeast, which means that cell currently outside of this camera view. Matt, what do you have in the latest? Does it still look pretty strong? Because that was pretty prolific in terms of that rotation that you showed a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and your positioning with the camera is right too. The official, again, if you're just tuning in and just joining us, tornado warning for Collier County, tornado warning for DeSoto County. The cell in Arcadia and near Arcadia has the stronger rotation, so that's the one that we're going to talk about. And let's switch over to our velocity signature. And I believe we actually have not one but two areas of rotation, and you can see them at home. There's one, and then about a mile or two behind it, there's another one. So there are two pockets of rotation. I want to probably zoom in first on the more prolific one, and this one is going to be, and I'll take this off, it looks like, for reference, there's the Peace River, and it would be near US 17. So let's switch back over radar. And for reference here, here's going to be Southwest Hillsborough Avenue. There's US 17. Let me broaden it on out. And there's going to be the heart of Arcadia. So the worst part of the rotation will avoid Arcadia, but it's likely going to be heading northwest. So that's going to have a crossing over State Road 70, and basically we're 72 and 70 meet. Okay, that's where I'm really thinking it's going to be going. Let's switch over to our correlation coefficient, basically just detects debris. That vantage point is messy. Let me switch to another radar and see how the other one's looking. And yeah, Zach, I'm not seeing anything too overwhelming. So translation, what is this? We know that there's rotation at the mid levels of the atmosphere, but do we have a tornado on the ground that's lofting debris? That's what feature we have right here that can help us better detect it. Let's switch back over to Wink Live Doppler 3X. You can almost kind of see a little bit of a hook, right? See that right there? That would be, and we're going to get a new scan, and it looks like that is now probably right about there. Okay, so that is where the possibility of a tornado would be. Let's switch back over, and yep, sure enough, it's going to be working its way right where 72 and 70 right there. That is where the possibility of a tornado would be. So there's going to be the center of Arcadia. You guys are good. It's going to be just to your west, okay, by about a couple of miles. It's pushing northwest at 35. Okay, Zach, I'm going to toss it back to you. And look at that, man. We got, real quick, can we go big picture on my screen? We have two other areas even behind it. These don't have tornado warnings with them. This one, look at the left-hand portion of your screen. There's Punta Gorda and Deep Creek, and we have, looks like, two other areas of rotation starting to form. These do not have tornado warnings with them. Okay, so now, Zach, why don't you take the Collier County one?
I'm just looking at some of our FDOT cameras. The great thing about the Florida Department of Transportation is that we have cameras that line Alligator Alley, really from Collier County, of course, all the way to the East Coast. Currently not seeing, of course, the Golden Gate cameras facing to the west and not to the east. But I've been looking at a few of them on the actual website itself, and we haven't seen too much in terms of any lowering or circulation based on our cameras. Again, those cameras line all of I-75 Alligator Alley, trying to help me discern exactly if we see any clouds lowering. That's step one. If I find that there's circulation, or if I find that there's a tornado warning that is issued, we always want to look and see exactly what's going on, find lowering in the clouds, have to have that first, and then you could have a rotating cell, a tornado develop from that lowering rotation. I do want to point out that a lot of times, because the National Weather Service office in Miami, their radar is what they use very far away from Collier County. In fact, the beam of the height of the radar in Miami is pretty high, that they're seeing some circulation higher in the storm that sometimes doesn't transpire all the way to the surface. In terms of this circulation, again, nothing too strong. We're watching this live. You can see the beam here scanning, getting an update here from Wink Doppler 3X. Just got that update. Nothing too concerning in this region. The strongest area of wind currently just near the S in Golden Gate Estates. So I'm going to track that closely, because even if we don't see a tornado on the ground, and really the velocity signature doesn't really tell me or Matt, both trained meteorologists, to discern whether that is a tornado warning or a tornado that could be on the ground. Not seeing too much indicative of that currently, but again, what we are looking at is right here. I'm going to zoom and circle that, just so you know at home what we're keeping an eye on. This would be where we're seeing some rotation, and by rotation, we're talking a movement of the wind in a counterclockwise fashion. And you can see that there. If we see something come together, we would get more greens, more reds trying to come together, with some of that wind moving towards our radar, some of it moving away from the radar. I don't really have that away from the radar component of the wind as of yet. But let's get one more update on exactly where this is tracking off to. Again, it's heading towards an area that has already seen tornado warnings so far today. We're talking for you all watching us in Twin Eagles, for you all watching us in Bonita National, as well as now even on the western side or eastern side of Valencia Golf and Country Club. A great spot to play, by the way. We're watching that moving off towards the north-northwest. Again, that's going to pass just the east of Valencia Golf and Country Club. This will pass also to the west of Lake Trafford Elementary School, so keep that in mind. But as we watch this build off towards the north-northwest, it's going to be heading towards, maybe even if it holds together, you can see the place that corks through the last thing at 11 a.m. We watch these circulations for a while, just because once they do develop, they do weaken, and they could redevelop and re-intensify. But right now, areas that would be impacted by some strong winds, including Golden Gate Estates, the eastern side of Golden Gate Estates, as well as even portions of Twin Eagles and Bonita National. Let me zoom in real quick for you guys, just so we could get some street names exactly in the estates for what we're seeing. Again, Palmetto Elementary, if you live near Palmetto Elementary, you're just fine. Sable Palm Elementary, if you live near Sable Palm Elementary, the highest winds are heading your way, especially if you live right along Golden Gate Boulevard East, as well as just east of DeSoto Boulevard. That's where those strongest winds will be tracking. I know there's many homes in this community, and very heavy rain as well does cause some road flooding very quickly into that area. And one more look, Oil Well Road, on the western side of Ave Maria. I know Ave Maria has definitely built up, especially on that western side as of recent. So some very heavy winds going to pass between you all and Ave Maria, as well as everyone who live right along Everglades Boulevard near Estates Elementary. That's where this corridor of heavy rain going to go and heavy wind going to go. Matt, I know you've been watching, me try and cover this. What do you see in terms of, our velocity signature here? I don't see anything that's really indicative of anything too strong. I know you're working on the one DeSoto County, but just look real quick, based on your, trained eye as well, it looks to be rather weak here in Collier County.
I have to turn on my mic. Can everybody hear me? Okay, good. We have mainly north of the Caloosahatchee. That's where the tighter rotation has been. And I tell you what, I'm going to treat this one like a tornado warning. It's so tight that it's this one even right here. You see that, Zach? Crossing over the Charlotte and DeSoto County line. I would almost say we got to treat that one like a tornado warning. And that one's going to be heading to US 17, just south of the current tornado warning. And there's a look. Couple things to note with this one. See how the pocket of lighter green is kind of a bit more distant from the area of red. So the rotation has become a bit more broad. If they're closer together, that would lead me to believe that we have an area of tight rotation and a possible tornado. We also have another area, looks like two, of lighter green next to brighter red. So what is the area that we're talking about here? Well, it's just northwest of Arcadia. Let me throw on, first off, it would be right along the trouble spot. There's State Road 70 on the bottom portion of your screen. When you take a right on State Road 70 and you're heading north on 661, that's where it is. So it'd be a couple miles to the north of, we definitely have rotation, but a possible tornado. Let's switch over to, that one's messy, nothing too definitive. Let me switch over to another radar to see if we have anything that's more concrete. We do not. So that is the one cell. Let's do a storm cone on it. It's been a while since we've done that. And this is going to be heading to the northwest at about 35 miles an hour. And this is going to be working its way towards the Hardy County line. And primarily Oak Hill Church. Oak Hill Church. On a Sunday morning, that's obviously not what you want to deal with, but Oak Hill Church, that's the main area. And then as we take you south once again, I wouldn't be surprised if they issue a tornado warning on this one. We'll have to see what they do at the Weather Service. And there it is, very definitive, very pronounced. Let's zoom on in to see where this is. And it is basically between, let me broaden it on out. There is, and yeah, Zach, that even, we got a new scan on that one I've been watching. They really should issue a tornado warning on that. State Road 31, US 17. This is going to be the northern Charlotte and southern DeSoto County line. There's 763, and there it is. Let's zoom on into this one. I almost think this is becoming the more dominant area of rotation. And looks like it's largely rural. Let's take off. Yeah, so we're talking some fields, some farms. That's a look at the satellite imagery and the aerial. And let's do a storm cone on this one to see where this one is going to be heading. And this one is going to be working its way to, okay, more churches, unfortunately. We have Upper Room Church of God, as well as let's see, Mount Ethan Church. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I apologize if I'm not. It's going to be heading to the northwest at about 35 miles an hour. So that is also a cell that we are going to be closely monitoring. Let's take you also more south. I have another, this one could become a something. Right here, that one's kind of weak. You can see it right there, well east of Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte. And then as we take you more south, let's see if we have any other troublemakers. And you can see right there, there is a little pocket. See that? Around Lehigh Acres. That one, thankfully, is overall pretty weak. And then, Zach, do you have an update on the Collier County one?
Yeah, I was just going to look Large scale, real quick for you, Matt. I know you're zoomed in on that one in DeSoto County, and what we're seeing currently is you could tell where that one in DeSoto County is. Actually, in fact, the two of them that Matt are currently watching. The one in South Central DeSoto County is the one that Matt is watching now. I know that first cell that was warned has weakened. We're waiting for an additional warning to come out from the National Weather Service in Tampa to issue possibly this one. Also, another weak area of rotation. You could tell by these bright green objects there. As they zoom across the rest of Southwest Florida, again, this isn't really a part of the main line as of yet. We're currently seeing not much rotation currently along the Lee County, Charlotte County line as we switch between a few of our radars across town. And again, Matt, the one that we were watching that you mentioned in Lehigh Acres does look a little on the stronger side as well in terms of something we're keeping an eye on also. So,
Zach, we have another one. Let's switch over to my, you see what I'm looking at? It's offshore right now. And this is going to be, let's put a time lapse on it. This is going to be heading to, let's see how it pivots. Yeah, I would say between Port of the Islands and Marco Island, it's right now offshore. See that pocket of blue? That could be a water spout that eventually pushes on shore. And it is going to be generally heading, should squeak just east of Goodland, between east of Goodland and west of Port of the Island. So that's another spot as a lot of these cells are rotating. So there's one tornado warning. I wonder, let's see, did they update another tornado warning? We're waiting on the Weather Service. I think they're a little behind on the one in southern DeSoto. They really need to issue that. That is some pretty tight rotation right now being indicated.
And they have not issued anything on that one as of yet.
Yeah, they need to. That's very well defined. And this one, once again, it's going to be working its way to, and there's the classic hook. So see that hook at home? Your possible tornado is at the end of the hook, so it'd be right about there. And that is where we have rotation, but at any point, there could be a quick touchdown. Tropical systems are notorious for that. They can put down a tornado. They're only on the ground for seconds, if not minutes, but they can be destructive. And we just got another scan, and it's still maintaining that hook as it's working its way across DeSoto County. And yeah, Zach, real quick, we can't stress this enough. Great time to download our app.
Yeah, in fact, when I was sitting here on my Apple Watch, when I was trying to read the speeds and how fast these storms are moving for Matt, when we first started our coverage of these multiple tornado warnings, everything that I get and everything Matt and I get comes to us from our Wink Weather app. In fact, believe it or not, a lot of people always wonder, hey, do you get Wink Doppler 3X in the app itself? You do. You have to go through a few settings. So you have to save a couple settings to get Wink Doppler 3X to the app, but it's so much better for tracking. You can zoom in all the way to your home and see exactly when that heaviest rain will hit you. I play golf a lot, and I use it to utilize to see, okay, how close is that storm to me? Can I finish this next round? Can I finish this next hole? It's really powerful for that, but also right now, the biggest thing is severe weather alerts. If you are in these tornado watches, you will get alerts directly to your phone. So if you're in this warning in Ave Maria, if you're in this warning in Collier County, if you're in this warning in DeSoto County, you would have been notified that you are in a tornado warning. In fact, a lot of our notifications come with the pleasant sound of Chief Meteorologist Matt Devitt's voice as well. And it's always one of those that we always keep an eye on just because it helps you be alerted when severe weather is approaching your home. It also just allows you to either watch our coverage on the app. You know that anytime a tornado warning is on your phone, one of us here, one of us in the Weather Authority is on TV tracking that storm with our latest information, with our experience as meteorologists to say, hey, you should worry about this one. You need to get into your safe place, or hey, just like we're doing in Collier County right now, it's not too strong. Nothing to worry about, but we're going to keep an eye on that for you guys. So just make sure you download the Wink Weather app. If you don't have it yet on your phone, it is a powerful resource. I used to storm chase when I was in college, and I can't say enough that having Wink Doppler 3X is so much better than using the National Weather Service office radars in Tampa and Miami. But right now, speaking of radar and Wink Doppler 3X, Matt, your cell in DeSoto County is the strongest one we have seen so far. Your two cells, northern, now both in central DeSoto County. What's the strongest one? I know the one moving Arcadia is now getting weaker. Yeah, and one to the south is the one we have to watch, moving right along 17.
Exactly right. So this one is getting a touch weaker. This one getting stronger. So this one is going to be moving out of DeSoto County. That's the one that prompted the tornado warning. We're still waiting to hear from the Weather Service what they want to do, but I tell you what, we're just going to treat it like a tornado warning. This one down here, that is strong. And there's a couple things that you can do at home. I don't want you to be taking pictures because you need to be seeking shelter, hunkering down. You want to get away from windows. And one of the best things that you can do is, so that way you can hear me in multiple rooms away, crank up the TV as loud as you can. You can do a couple things. You can either go to the bathroom, you can go to the closet. Just make sure that it's away from windows. Make sure that it's the interior of your home, and that way for instructions that I'm giving to you, you can hear it from multiple rooms away. And again, get away from windows, lowest level. That's always the good rule of thumb. So let's do a brand new storm cone on this one, and let's first off take a look at some of the, again, very rural, very rural. There's the brand new scan. It's still tight. It's still holding together. And let's once again take a look at what we're dealing with. And it looks like it is starting to get into some residential areas. Let's talk some specifics here. It includes Southwest Shores Avenue, Southwest Miami Avenue, Southwest Sable Avenue. Those are some homes. As we also go north, some of the areas where I definitely want you to be seeking shelter: Southwest Neversail Street, to name a few, Southwest Mixon Street, Southwest Soares Avenue. Crank up that TV and head to the bathroom or the closet ASAP. We have tight rotation indicated right there, and let's do a scan to see if we have anything that's confirmed on the ground. That's suspect. Let's switch over to, let's see if Tampa radar has anything different. No. So again, it's definitely rotating at the base of the cloud, but is it making its way down to the surface? That's what time will tell. But we're not going to take a chance, and that's why we need to treat it as an active tornado warning. So right there is the curvature, and I would say the absolute point where this system and this possible tornado would be. You see that right there, Carlton Avenue. Let me move the camera up, and I'll zoom in a little bit more. And it looks like Southwest Smith Avenue. Oh, you can't see it because I got the laptop in the way. Southwest Smith Avenue, that's also where. And let's broaden it on out. And that is where we have that very definitive hook. And unbelievably, they do not have a tornado warning for it. Now they do.